I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is our review of Resident Evil 3 Remake. So big thank you to Capcom Australia for providing us the code for Resident Evil 3. Now this is the ground up remake, Max, similar to Resident Evil 2 from last year. So we'll touch upon the basic story premise because now neither you or I have played the original on the PS1. So we have no idea what's different. We have no idea what's the same. So we don't want to be like, oh, this part. And then you're like, that wasn't the original. Like, oh, sorry about that. But in short, this is a sort of a prequel. It takes place prior to the events of Resident Evil 2, but it takes place after the events of Resident Evil 1. Because Jill Valentine is involved in the original incident in Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
But now she's in 3.
Man, it's so hard when timelines are convoluted like
I
this.
know, and Resident Evil's a hot mess because there's these, and then there's 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then there's like Code Veronica X, and then there's Resident Evil 0 somewhere, and there's all these different expansions and side things they've done. But either way, very cool. So you play as the character of Jill Valentine, who you see across all the trailers, and it's about her trying to escape Racoon City while being chased by a non-giving up school guy, Nemesis, who you see in all the footage as well. Where do we want to start, Max?
It's hard to pick a starting point for this because it's just... So I enjoyed my time thoroughly with this game. And coming off... Because I've only recently just played Resident Evil 2 Remake again. Mm-hmm. And coming off the back of that, this game was perfect.
I wouldn't go that far.
Like in the time in which I played it, I think it was the perfect game for me to play straight after.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. It's so hard to articulate what I want to say.
This is the same problem that I had with Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 I loved so much. I actually ran out of good positive words to say.
Well, see,
I used them all.
The difference from this to Resident Evil 2 is I'd played Resident Evil 2 as a kid on the original PlayStation, so I'm like, it kind of it brought back all those things that I remembered, and then I'm like, it kind of like jogging my memory. But unfortunately, I never got around to playing 3 back in the day. So this was a new deep dive for me. It was so good.
But look, so that's I'm trying to think where we can go because obviously we'll talk very vague story stuff. How did you feel about the story overall?
The story was good. I think the way that they told their story was very interesting. It kept me engaged. It kept me I was always waiting for the next thing to happen.
Yep.
It kept driving me to want more, which is good. It's,
yeah.
You know, what you're wanting for a story. It was very compelling. The different takes on it was interesting from all the different perspectives. Absolutely fantastic.
I completely agree. So the story, although a more action-based story than the likes of Resident Evil 2, it is still incredibly engaging. I love the characters that we see. Now, once again, I'm not sure if there's any new characters, but I really enjoyed Jill. I thought Jill was this good balance between like, fuck you, I'm a star. You know, like there's a good bit of confidence in her, but not so much of like just being defiant. Like she knew she was rad. She knew what she could do, and she was an awesome character. And on top of that, we see the likes of Carlos. That he just sounds like Keanu Reeves. Just gonna put it out there. Whoever the voice actor was, whose name I can't remember, I was like, you do an incredible Keanu Reeves impression.
Yeah, there were lots of moments where Jill gave the "I've got this" impression, and then me myself was like, I don't think I've got this.
Yeah. She's really confident about it. I'm not as much.
I'm not so sure.
There's a bunch of cool side characters as well. And I agree with you. I do like how they've all come together. And being a sequel prequel, it was very cool to see how it ties into Resident Evil 1 with mentions of like S.T.A.R.S and the mansion incident as they referred to it, and then also seeing what ties into Resident Evil 2. Now we're not going to say what those are because I think it's best if you enjoy that for yourself, but I spend a big hunk of this going, oh shit, that's awesome. Like just this interwoven web between the 3 games. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Because like, I'm a big fan of obviously sequels are cool, but I love that interwoven stuff.
I enjoy it too, and I think they did it well in this game. It wasn't over the top and in your face. They were quite I wouldn't say subtle, but they definitely weren't like forced upon you.
Yeah.
If you hadn't played the previous one, you would definitely you could possibly miss it.
Yeah, you might miss some of the subtleties, but you'd be like, "Oh, that's a cool this or that," without getting like super, as affected you are. Because similar to yourself, I did my second run of Resident Evil 2 semi recently, so I saw it all again, and it was all fresh in the brain. So those emotions were still fresh. 'Cause I remember finishing the second run, being like, "God, this game is still so good."
So, how did you find the difficulty of Resident Evil 3 compared to the Resident Evil 2 remake?
So I played this on standard. So there's assisted, there's standard, there's hardcore. I think it is, and I think there might be more. But I played on standard. Down the line, keep it as it was.
Yep.
I'm certainly not going to do assisted. Like I as someone that's been like easy mode's fine. I'm not playing assisted.
Well, funny you should mention that. I died a lot, and it's like, hey man, do you want to?
I did that to me a couple times.
Do you want to like drop this down to assisted mode? But if you do, you can't change it back. And
Like there are all these times.
No, I've got this. Please stop telling me.
Where Nemesis just kind of grabs me by the scruff and just punches my face in repeatedly for about 45 minutes, and then it's like, do you want assisted mode? I'm like, nah. It's like, all right. it just goes like, all right. Well, are you sure I can let go of you right now? It's like, no, I'm fine. Like, all right. Just keeps pulverizing my face. But no, in terms of difficulty, because being more action gameplay than the likes of Resident Evil 2, which was more of that psychological thriller with a lot more challenges and puzzles. Like there are puzzles and stuff here as well, but they were more prevalent in the other one. In 2, a difficulty fits differently here.
Yeah.
So the difficulty around this game is because you are playing within Racoon City and not the cut-off locations that you were in Resident Evil 2, you are seeing a lot more zombies. There are a lot more of them coming at you at any given time. So you're facing 3, 4 at a time, rather than the 1, maybe 2 and 2. So that does ramp up the difficulty in terms of how do I get out of this. But with the addition of Jill's dodge ability, which I wish Leon had in 2, where she can just kind of like duck and weave her way out of the moment and then do some sort of minor area effects, because certain parts of the city are like booby trapped and so you can like stun enemies and like chip your way through. But yeah.
I had a real issue with managing my inventory spaces and ammo capacities. There were times where I'm like, well, looks like I've got a knife now.
Yeah. I had similar, but it wasn't until the very end. So obviously I'm not going to tell you what happens, but like during the early parts of so when the first era, which is almost exactly the demo. So if anyone that plays Resident Evil 3 demo, it kicks off almost the same.
Well, I got
in that. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No,
in that area, I have just got ammo up the bum hole. I'm actually stockpiling gunpowder in my storage locker because I'm like, I've got so much pistol ammo right now. Like, it's fine. So I hoarded that shit, and so as the game was going further, I never really ran out of ammo.
Okay.
However, towards the back end, because there are some more action set pieces, I am just like, how do I do this with 6 bullets? Which I think, once again, from the I know I keep saying this, but I think it's important to differentiate the two. With the more action gameplay here, there was a lot more safe rooms and there was a lot more ammo. Where in 2, I found myself being incredibly conservative with my ammunition.
Well, I got to that point in 3. I got myself in the mindset of, if it's not in my way, it's not my problem. So I was kind of only taking out the things that were in my path, as opposed to, utilizing that duck and weave that you could do the dodging. I'm kind of like, if it's behind me, it's fine. I'm going through this door. They can't open doors.
I had a similar approach. However, it was more of I have a feeling I'm going to come back through here later, so I'm going to ruin these dudes.
Well, that was Future Max's problem, not current Max's
so
problem.
Ryan was playing for present and future Ryan.
Yeah, it was, the gunplay felt really good as well. I really enjoyed it.
Once again, the reduction of the tank controls we've seen in old Resident Evils and showing that sort of over the shoulder style that we saw in 2.
It's still got that similar. You have to wait a couple of seconds before the crosshair will kind of like close in a little bit, giving you a bit more accuracy, which is nice.
Very early on, I worked out the code for the safe. And, which is once again also in the demo, no spoilers. So which assisted you with the handgun. I was like, got that very quickly because I worked it out in the demo. It's like, all right, and that instantly made the start of the game nice and easier initially. But so you're playing on a standard PS4.
Yeah, I was playing on
the
standard OG
a vanilla one. I was playing on the Pro. How did it run for you?
It ran fine. I didn't have any there were no frame rate issues that I noticed. There was no slowing down. It didn't chug. My fan wasn't going crazy. My PlayStation wasn't trying to lift off the desk, which was nice. Yeah, it ran nicely. I can't really complain. I didn't really have many technical issues. There were a few with Carlos's dodging mechanics that I ran into because
he's more of like a
he has a shoulder dash and you can actually dash into the zombies. But I had a few issues where I dash into them and instead of him doing his knock them to the ground, they'd kind of just hug me and kill me.
Yeah,
that was annoying.
Yeah,
I think that was my own timing issues rather than it being a.
It's funny you mention that because there were times where I'd be like, all right, they're down, cool. Fuck. Like, a lot of the time I felt more inconvenienced by the zombies than anything. But I guess that could have been me wanting to finish it, wanted to sort of play it and see it through so get my thoughts down. So like every time a zombie did happen to grab me, I'm like, oh fuck.
I also should mention the other reason why I probably had really low ammo is I used to shoot all zombies regardless if they were just sitting on the wall or lying down.
Oh, you do like the one pop?
I'm like, I'm gonna just shoot you just in case you're gonna get up as I walk past you.
That did change. Towards the back end, I'm like, I was just getting sick of getting mugged. I was like, no, you're good, sweet, and just move on through.
It's like, did he flinch? Better to pop him again just in case.
But in terms of myself, running it on the Pro, it looked fantastic. I never had any noticeable frame drops. Like it could have been, but for me, it ran pretty smooth. Actually, incredibly smooth. I never really had a major issue. There was no texture pop-ins. It all looked as immaculate as it did in 2. All the blood was all sheeny. The guts were all like slimy looking. Like Nemesis looked fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
And just sort of, Jill get dirtier and dirtier as the game went along. Brilliant. And so from a visual standpoint, I have no issue with the game at all. I thought it was fantastic looking. I'm trying to think if there's anything like I can discuss. It gets into the gameplay, right? As we mentioned, that big action focus. That was probably the one thing that it wasn't until after I'd finished the campaign. So, can we disclose? We can disclose how long we played it for, right? So my total playtime was about 5 hours, just under 5 hours, with a total experience of what is it? Gameplay and it's separated by 2.
Yeah, so it's got it's got in-game time and total time play.
Yeah, so in-game time was like 7 and a bit, and gameplay was just under 5.
Yeah, so I was the same. I think I had 7.5 hours total with a just shy of 4.5 hour.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was a bit closer to 5 though, because once I cleared, I did a little bit of that hunting for those little bobbleheads. So it's a good amount of time. I for 8 hours, because I died a lot. So
I think that it was a tidy time. The story didn't feel bloated or stretched to make it feel longer. I think I said it to you once I had finished it. I thought that it ran as long as it needed to run. Mm-hmm. I think it worked really well in the time frame.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments in time where I'm like, oh, this has to be the end, I guess. And then it kept going. And so I was like, oh, cool. There were a couple of just a very big pinpoint set piece moments where you go, all right, this has to be the end.
But in saying that, I also never got to the point where it's like, oh, really? This isn't the end? And
exactly.
I kind of begrudged it for wanting to go further. It was definitely always like, oh, there's more. Excellent.
One thing I am, once again, having not played the original, this may not have been the case in Resident Evil 2 back in the day. There is no second run. So you don't play as one character and so you don't play as Leon and then you go back and play what's the name's the second one? Claire. So there's no Leon, Claire, 2 different runs like in 2. This is one run, multiple characters in the one story. However, that it kind of disappointed me, but that's an expectation. I was like, oh, I presume that's how the old Resident Evil's played. So not seeing that went, oh, doesn't really count as a nitpick, there, does it?
Yeah, because of the way the story is told, you can see what, like, once you've worked it out, you can see why they don't run it that way. I think.
Yes.
So yeah.
One thing that I really loved about the previous one was the soundscape. I found that was also matched here. I played a lot with headphones this time, so as a result, like when you're sort of starting to hear, just sort of different sound effects and kind of add an eerie feel, just sort of it makes you feel uncomfortable, especially in those quieter moments when there aren't any zombies around you. I did feel that once again, this could or not quite as intense as 2 because it's not a psychological thriller. So because Nemesis is there, but he's not constantly stalking you like Tyrant was or Mr. X was. So as a result, I didn't have that impending doom. Like, when you're in the mansion in 2 and you hear the thump thump thump, you're like, oh fuck, where is he?
Although in saying that, there were definitely moments where I'm like, I'm gonna get got real soon, aren't I?
You're like, I think I'm due to be jacked up.
The sound design for this obviously differing because predominantly Resident Evil 2 was placed inside.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 3 is a lot more open.
Yeah, so that did sound that way. Like, there was a lot more like hustle in streets and like fire and zombies in the distance and stuff like that. But I think the enclosed space added to that claustrophobic feel because it's the same feel you get in like Resident Evil 7 because you're stuck in the Baker house. You do get the claustrophobic, and the sound does assist with that. So saying that though, there are a bunch of different locations in this one similar to 2. Won't discuss them what they are for don't ruin any story beats or anything for you. But did you feel that you felt a difference in each of the locations?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there was definitely a difference in each of the locations. I mean, that's just by design. They're vastly different from each other. No two areas were alike, which was really good. It definitely felt like a new place.
Yeah. So the difference,
a new environment, I should say.
The difference here was that in 2, you kind of seamlessly went through all 3.
Yes.
Where here, this takes place over a larger range of time. So there are almost time jumps where it's like not like you're a week later. It's like, an hour later. This happens. So there's no real fluidity through the whole thing, where I found being able to dick about in the mansion for 2 and then to go down into the sewers, find something that I'm like, oh, I could probably use that in the mansion, like I could find a photo roll or something, and then I'll be able to just walk my way back to the mansion, where here it's like location, move, location, time, location, which I understand because it does hit a larger area, like physical area, but it does feel broken up that way.
Yep.
For better or for worse. I'm trying to think, because as you said, like we've kind of like there's less to pick apart because it's like, well, that was good and that was good.
Yeah, it's hard coming from not being able to compare it to its original source material because obviously neither of us have played it. Obviously you can tell that they've made vast improvements. You can tell that they made this with love and care. They put the time and they spent the time to make sure it was up to their standards, and following off the back of Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is just another banger.
Yeah.
Like the engine that they're using for their current
games. The RE engine is fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So we should also mention as well, it did come with the Resistance multiplayer. I've spent a little bit of time with it. I did the tutorials and etc. But it was more of we're going to wait on this one.
Yeah,
because we were advised as of a certain day because there was some hiccups, and then the beta was closed because of those hiccups as well. So for us, we will return to it probably within the next week. So that will allow us to get some time with our other players, so as it goes live to everybody, and to really get our thoughts on that one. Because having it be sort of an asymmetrical multiplayer, so someone plays like a tyrant or like a dude on a computer controlling zombie spawns, etc. And then for people trying to escape an area, I was like, cool, this needs more players. And I didn't want to be in a situation where I'm waiting for one other person because we're playing with other games, press, influencers, whatever. play it safe on that one and play a little bit later.
Yeah, I haven't dived into it at all yet. I've just been waiting.
But let's wrap these up. Max, what are your final thoughts?
The game looks beautiful. The game plays immaculately. If you were a fan of Resident Evil 2 Remake, if you're a fan of any of the Resident Evil series, if you played Resident Evil 3 originally, this is an easy recommend. Yeah. It's definitely a must play. One of my top games so far of this year.
I agree in some aspects. So the game it looks brilliant. It plays great. There are, as I said, no technical hiccups at all. The story, as we discussed, is intriguing. It keeps wanting me to pull forward. It actually makes me want to learn more about the Resident Evil game lore and sort of how it all comes together. So that part is really good. It makes me want to go play 4 again. Makes me want to go play Resident Evil 0 and 1, just to sort of like, again, just to be like, all right, let's see how this all fits together. However, with its more focus on action gameplay and losing some of the psychological horror and sort of suspense stuff, which is kind of what I wanted and I was expecting, leaves me a little bit disappointed. I say that as in like it went from, if we don't, although we don't do score ratings here, if we did, I would probably give it like an 8, an 8.5. Where I gave Resident Evil 2 like a 10.
Yeah.
I thought that game was absolutely perfect. That right balance of horror with action and just everything about it. Where here, it is delivering the same thing, but after the intense brilliance of 2, it just didn't quite measure up.
It is a little bit more action focused than what its predecessor was.
But yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of like when you have 2 really good things in front of you, like, I kind of like that one a little bit better, but they're both exceptional.
Oh yeah,
like compared to some other shit we'll probably play this year, it's going to be in my top 5 games of the year. Like Resident Evil came in at number 2 last year, so I do see this within my top 5 unquestionably, just from a really good time. I'm disappointed that I can't do a second run of it because I want more of that world, I want more of that story. But
I mean, you could, but now it's not going to give you the extra information that it would have
so doing a Claire run. So when you do the Leo run, the Claire run adds to what you've already seen and adds a bit more world, and we're not going to see that in Resident Evil 3 just because that doesn't happen. I can play it again on harder difficulty or something, I'm sure.
Just try and beat your time.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe get some more trophies. Who knows?
Speed run that bad boy.
Oh, I'm not that good. That is one of the problems when I look at games like this. I'm like, yeah, I'm not that good. But no, the game is brilliant. I still really enjoyed my time with it. It is still by far one of the best games I'll probably play this year as of today, the 29th of March. Could flux at all. But I really enjoyed it. Just could have been. I think my expectations may have caused a problem, to be honest.
Because you were super hyped for this.
I am still super hyped on it.
And you made it very, very known that you were ready for this.
Yeah, and look, in terms of my hype, was my hype met? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Like playing it, all of it, I loved it. Loved it. So please don't take what I'm saying as like this game is poo. It's just, it is what I wanted.
You had an expectation that wasn't quite there.
But that also comes from a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That comes from my misunderstanding of what Resident Evil 3 was. Because if this is a more closer remake to 3, that is in the original, and the original was more action heavy, then that's my fault.
Yeah.
That is me not knowing. But, because that's also my fault for doing a more of a lockout, right? So once I saw that trailer and I played the demo, I was like, that's it.
So I think I enjoyed this game more for its action based than what I did RE2.
Okay. See, I love puzzles.
Don't get me wrong. I love puzzles, but I found there was a lot of downtime, whereas this, like, there was always something.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, in terms of like the psychological thrillery stuff, my heart was racing for almost all of it in a good way.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm a large person, but it's just like as I was playing, or whenever I had a hit to a sort of one of those cinematic points, it was like, because every zombie is a dick. Every encounter with Nemesis was fucking horrifying. Every time I see a new character, I'm like, ooh, are you good or bad? What am I going? And that's what happened. And so in terms of a physiological response, that's fucking amazing. Like, not enough games give physiological responses like that. But anyway, if you have any questions about Resident Evil 3 Remake, let us know in the comments below. Well, I'll happily be in there and chat and add some layers, all within what we are allowed to say, of course. This game does come out this Friday. Be sure to go check it out. It is on all the consoles and PC. Big thank you to Capcom Australia for providing the code for us. We had an absolute blast, and we hope you do too. So until the next one, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
That was the Resident Evil 3 review.